Welcome back to another Warriors Den. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday morning. How are you, Nolan?
I'm doing great, feeling good, feeling alive. Just enjoying this weather we're having here in Montreal too.
Nice.
So it's good.
Yeah, I'm all tanked up on coffee. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And I hope y'all at home are ready to go because Year 7, Season 4, TU1 starts next week, December 7th. And we've got a packed show for you today. We've got a lot of cool stuff, some things I'm very, very excited for all of you to see. But first, Nolan, what's dropping on the Twitch?
Thank you, Brian. Lots of things are dropping on the Twitch. But before I go any further, if you have not linked your UbiConnect account to your Twitch account yet, do that right now because you're missing out on the drops. Every 30 minutes you're with us watching on Twitch, you are going to get a scavenger crate. And at the end of the show, we're going to pick some lucky winners to win a grand prize of either 100,000 steel or the new hero skin, which will be debuting a little bit later. It's
Yeah, boy.
Be a good one. You'll see.
I'm excited. This hero skin is fresh.
It's quite
so good.
Certified.
So good. Yes. Nature fresh. But a couple of things to get through real quick before we jump into all the details of this TU. The White Bonus Spirit has received its Polish Pass. So we improved the armor a little bit, made it adapted it to fit body type 1 a little bit better, as well as some clipping issues and some other things that weren't quite working perfect with it. And so you guys can enjoy that with the drop of the TU. So those of you who put in the time for the grind, your effort will have paid off.
I definitely did, so I'm excited. Did you grind out the skin?
I did.
Do you have all the pieces?
I did. I got it all.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was a lot of. I actually learned in the process that I quite like Jean Yu. I did not know that.
It's a great hero. It's a great hero.
Yeah, I tend to, I like my Vanguard Knights.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, in addition to this, we also have an ongoing partnership right now with Dying Light 2. So For Honor is in Dying Light 2. So you can get your, if you've ever wanted to just like slay through some zombies on a Warden, a Zerker, or a Kensei, you can do that now.
Now's the time.
Yeah, it's weird playing For Honor in the first person perspective.
It's a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Got ganked. Just like For Honor.
just like
For Honor, it didn't go well for me. So, but we have a quick message from the Dying Light 2 team. So big shout out for all their work on this, and check it out.
Warriors, death duels, sword fighting, and brutal combat. All of us here love this as fans of Ubisoft's medieval fantasy For Honor, right? So when we found out we'd be able to bring the faction war to the world of Dying Light to Stay Human, we couldn't be more excited. During this limited time crossover event, Kensei, Wardens and Berserkers will be attempting to take Villedor for their factions. These warriors have obviously seen thousands of battlefields, but nothing could prepare them for this. Hordes of zombies and one tough hero, you. Fights with them will be challenging, but those who answer the call to battle will be greatly rewarded. And for the greatest warriors out there who wish to represent one of their favorite factions, we have also prepared 3 special bundles. The Berserker bundle, which you can earn for free during the event, the Kensei bundle and the Warden bundle. We hope that you will enjoy what we have in store for you. Thank you Ubisoft and the For Honor team for the chance to create this amazing crossover. Join us on the battlefield, warriors.
Nice.
Hope you guys enjoyed that look at the Dying Light 2 crossover. They really went above and beyond, and it looks gorgeous, and it plays well, and it's a lot of fun. So, yeah, go check it out if you want a little twist on For Honor.
Yeah. Still love they got the whole faction war idea too. All 3 of the core factions. So good.
What's more For Honor than your faction pride and just dunking on everyone else because they chose wrong.
We know.
But we've got a lot to cover in this Warriors Den. Everything from new Battle Pass to hero skin. So, I know everyone's going to love seeing that. So we should get to it sooner rather than later. But first, let's check out the Year 7, Season 4 launch trailer. I'm intelligent.
You are.
Check it out.
The enemy came in the night. They offered a choice. Submit or die. Death. No oath is worth such fealty. We did what we had to. Some will look down on us. Brand us traitors. Let them do so at the end of our blades. Promises hold no sway over us. A Viking must remain loyal to themselves. We are survivors.
Love that trailer. It's always awesome when the Doom music kicks in. I'm joined by Stefan, Andre, and Alex. Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Great to be here.
Hope you're all having a great day. Ready to talk about all the deets?
Absolutely.
All right. So before we get into all the details of this TU, let's take a quick look at everything that's coming up in this TU and the next. Stefan, do you want to run us through it?
Of course, my pleasure. Here we are in Season 4, Treason, finally. So let's talk about Title Update 1. This is where we're going to be next week on December 7th. First up, we got the new Battle Pass that's going to support all the treasonous content that your heart could desire. And at the same time, we're going to bring the Frost Wind Betrayal event. This is everyone's fan favorite Ice Brawlers event where you're going to dunk your opponent into the ice.
I'm going to kick everyone in the ice hole.
Oh, man. So, Raider main over here, I guess. Dumping him in the, Highlander hero skin. We're going to talk about this treasonous character. Andre's going to tell you all about why he's a good guy. Or why it's okay to betray your oaths. We've got testing grounds that will come the second week of the season, so December 14th. And JC's going to talk all about that later on. We've got 3 hero fests, so we're going to see some new heroes, executions, and your opportunity to try these heroes for free.
Highlander.
You can go ahead and if you like.
No. Take it. You got it.
No. It's a great Viking season, so it's going to be Highlander first, as you said, Warlord second, and then Warmonger just rounding out the party.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody's favorite.
Exactly.
Everyone needs a warm up.
Last time I was hyped for the Warmonger execution.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be cool again this time.
Yeah, sword equals cheese grater. It's a great combo.
Exactly. And then throwback event, realistic elimination in December 28th. For those of you looking for your black color swatch, this is another chance to grind that out. So mark it in your calendars. And one more throwback event later in January, Justice of the Pharaohs.
Nice. And then we got some more fun stuff coming up in TU too, but
Exactly. Put your calendars for these as well. February 1st, new hero comes. We know this is a Viking season, so look forward to that.
very metal.
And then new armor variations as well in that title update too. We've got some more Hero Fest that we'll talk about at that point, and throwback event as well.
Nice. Looking forward to all of it. And, that's a very long list of stuff coming in this TU. So let's just jump right into it. And thank you for taking us through it all, Stefan.
My pleasure. The one last piece on the list that is going to be talked about later on in the show as well will be the local tone mapping improvement that Agath will talk about.
So excited to talk about this. It's cool. Sadly, I won't be there for that segment, but I'll be in the wings. I'll be watching. I'll be watching you guys at home.
Exactly.
Better behave. No, so let's just start with this season. So we're in Treason. It's the fourth installment of Injustice. Yeah, it is the season for Treason. Yes. So what can you tell us about the narrative angle for this season?
So we've come to the end of the year of Injustice, and the Horkos have taken advantage of all the chaos to attack the Viking village of Moldar. Moldar. And Moldar is a small village. It has no hope whatsoever of standing up against the might of the Horkos. And so the Horkos, in their twisted way, they give them a choice. Join us or die.
Cake or death.
Exactly.
I'll take the cake, please.
It would seem like it would be an easy choice, but it's not for the village of Moldar because they are a Chimera village. They've sworn an oath to the Chimera Alliance.
Oh, that makes things awkward.
It does make things a little bit awkward. On one hand, you have the village chieftain who says, absolutely not. We cannot join the Horkos. We've sworn an oath. Oaths are for life, even when they don't suit you.
It's pretty lawful good.
Lawful good.
All right.
And on the other hand, you have the chieftain's brother, Highlander Maddox, who says, what's the point of blindly following an oath if it's just going to get you and all your people killed? So he's got a point, as Stefan mentioned. So yes, there's that moral dilemma at play, which is eventually answered when Highlander Maddox kills his chieftain in order to survive. Yes.
Yeah, that escalated quickly.
It escalated pretty fast. I mean, they didn't have a long time to choose. And yes, he allies with the Horkos and becomes Oathbreaker Maddox.
All right. Yeah, all my homies hate oaths.
Yeah. We know which side you'd be on then.
Yeah. And you can see some of Oathbreaker Maddox here. And I feel like there's some narrative elements woven into the skin itself.
Yes. So the first thing to know about Highlander Maddox is that he is a survivor. And this is best represented in the amazing design he has here with the saber-toothed tiger pelts. The story behind that goes that once Maddox was lost in the Viking wilderness on the point of freezing to death.
An easy thing to do.
Yeah, it's pretty easy in Valkenheim. When he came across a saber-toothed tiger, supposedly an extinct creature, somehow survived the cataclysm. And it's a beautiful creature, very rare. Still, he killed the creature in order to survive, where it's fur. And it just foreshadows how he's willing to do whatever it takes to live. And of course, his inevitable betrayal of the chieftain.
Yeah. And then I believe there's some other elements in the armor as well from like the artistic direction side that kind of speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So of course the pelt is the first thing. It's the biggest thing. It's enormous. It takes over his whole body. In a way, it kind of is symbolic of his own loss of personhood. Like he's kind of put away Maddox, who did all of this treason and is channeling it all into this persona of the saber-toothed tiger. And he is the saber-toothed tiger. That is the person who has survived at all cost. So that way he's able to really like channel all of that justification, all the guilt goes into there. He also
kind of swallowing him up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just covering his arms, covering his head, and there's this blood swipe that goes across the top of it as well. And this, you can kind of even say that he's been reborn as the saber-toothed tiger. He's baptized in its blood. It's becoming something new.
That's a gooey baptism.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to wash off.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one that you can change the color of as well. Yeah.
I love it.
Yes. So he's got minimal Highlander elements left on him. He's got a little bit of plaid right at his waist. So you can still see bits of that background. You can see the accessories at his waist as well. He's got a pouch. He has a horn. He's got some handcuffs. And it's really... the pelt is the focal point for sure. But
no, it's great. I love those little Highlander elements you can see just have eroded down
yes.
as he's like
Yeah,
been like
just chipping away.
This is me now.
Yes.
This is the new me.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, I'm not going to take it anymore. You know, he's just really stepping into this like more bestial like persona.
He's also fully armored Viking.
That did not escape me. And
Yes.
I believe this is going to be a fun one for people who like alt materials, right?
It is. Yeah, the chainmail can be customized with alternate materials. There's also a bunch of colors that you can customize on his pants, on that blood swipe, on the plaid.
Yeah, make use of all those materials, all those color swatches. Go ham. And I believe if Max, if we can get that back up, just so people can see the weapon. I think there's some story in the weapon as well, right?
There is, yes. So he has his massive claymore, and it has a bunch of like Celtic sort of designs all the way down the blade. You can kind of imagine that these designs they're like a representation of all the blood of his friends, his allies that has gone down it. It leads all the way to the saber tooth on the guard. It's a very complex pattern for a complex mindset.
Gotcha. So I killed all these people to become who I am now, and this weapon reminds me of that. I like that because weapons, armor, they always tell a story, right?
Exactly.
Even in real life, every dent, every little nick, it builds the story of the piece of the weapon, of the armor. So it looks incredible. Oathbreaker Maddox will be available for all of you who are like, yes, I need my Bestial Highlander on starting Thursday, December 7th, and 25K steel. So now we've got to take a quick look at the mood board. Look at that. Such board, very mood. As you can see, there's a lot of snow, a lot of blood, and that's going to continue. We've got a lot in that theme. Including a realization overhaul of Gauntlet. So we'll take a quick look at the map realization for Gauntlet. There are kind of two pillars going into this, like bloody betrayal, as well as like the way of the fang. So you get that image of like Oathbreaker Maddox providing the killing and like the wearing the saber tooth and all that kind of bestial energy going on. And as always, it's got fog, it's got cold. You know, it's winter time. We've got to have that. There's a huge tusk hanging in the middle of the map. So if you're a Tusk fan, we've got that covered. I think there's even a guy stapled to a wall with a tusk, which is a personal favorite of mine. It's just one of those things throughout history. It's like, yeah, we stuck this guy to a wall as a message. And, I can get behind that. So, but in addition to map realization, we also have some new realizations for the menu and all the in-game elements. So you can get your Oathbreaker Maddox looking over the cliff, pondering orbs. We've got the
Literally turning his back on you, the player, even.
Yep.
yeah. Previously, only a thing that Warmonger did.
Ah, true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah. Yes. See, there's no connection. We got minions, we got podiums, we got end screens. The world map looking frosty, just in time for the holidays. And did we show the podium? Yeah, we got the podium. Okay, I mentioned everything. And then moving on, we've got a battle pass coming up for this season. So let's take a look at all of the things that you guys can get in the battle pass. Starting off, we've got 2 battle outfits. You're going to see a theme here because we've got Traitorous Duty. I got to make sure and enunciate that one, or I'll have too much fun with it. And then we've got the Traitorous Feline, which is looking fresh on everybody's favorite Roman here. Gladiator mains are like, no, but Glad's my favorite. And we've got an ornament, Traitorous Tyrant. I like that on Shigoki because you got tusks up, you got tusks down. Anytime is a tusk time to clown. Traitorous Adherent effect here on Medjai. And if you're not so hardcore to be an adherent, you can just be a traitorous supporter. So if you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter. And then saddle up because the horses are on the field. We are riding at dawn. Muster the Rohirrim. Griffin having a great time. Let's charge. And then I'm super happy for this one. All the Viking fans in the crowd should be too, because you can finally Blood Eagle your opponents. Love the red tail hawk there. Definitely an eagle. Definitely an eagle, not a hawk. And then we've got some Battle Pass weapons for you. A little sneak peek. We'll have the full reel of all the weapons so you guys can debate who won and who lost in the comments. We'll do that during the transition. And then, wait, there's more. That's not all. because we got Frostwind Betrayal. You got to listen to me talk for a while, guys. Strap in. I'm not going anywhere. So for those of you who have never done ice brawlers before, why? But, you know, to also be cool, it's pretty simple. You're on the ice cracks, it breaks. Don't fall in the water, stay out of the drink, but put your friends in the drink, or your enemies too. Put everyone in the drink. Kick everyone into the drink. And so, we do have a fun thing with the event pass this time around. So the last 2 years, we've had weapons tied to ice brawlers, the brawling on the ice. And this year's no different, except it's totally different because we're going to have another weapon set, but you can also unlock the previous 2 years' weapons this time as well. So you got 3 years of weapons in this one. So you got the new ones and the 2 old ones. Hopefully I said that enough time that even the people in the back got it. So last but not least, we've got some event pass items. Let's take a quick look at them. First up, we got a battle outfit, Snowy Betrayal, looking fresh on everybody's favorite moosh. And we've also got an ornament. This one's going straight on my Warmonger, the Tusks of Betrayal. I really like this one. It's very clean. I like an Art Deco thing. And then for those of you who remember the Thin Red Path trailer from days past, nice little homage to that there. And then we've got the Holer Oath weapons. So buy and hodl, my friends. So thank you so much, Alex, Andre, Stefan, for joining me on the segment once again.
Thank you for having us.
Always happy to be here.
Always happy to have you. But we've got a lot more coming up. We're going to talk about gameplay. We've got quality of life fixes. But first, feast your eyes upon the full list of the Battle Pass weapons. Take it away.
All right, welcome back, Warriors. Oh man, those were some awesome weapons. I know you couldn't see because like we were off camera there, but like this is the first time I'd seen most of those too, and it's like wow.
Yeah, it looks amazing as usual, right?
Yeah, they're awesome. So super cool. Hope you enjoy those. Look forward to them next week. But we are ready to kind of jump into our next segment. And joining me on the couch today to talk about some patch notes and also a new gameplay improvement is, you know him, you love him, the Lord and Savior JC is on the couch today. Yay!
Hello.
It's all right. They're all clapping at home, I'm sure.
Complete newcomer. I've never been here before.
Never here. First time. Welcome. First time.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. Yeah, it's been great.
I've never spoken to you before.
Not once. So, but speaking of first time as well, we are joined by Agathe, one of our graphics programmers as well. So Agathe, welcome. Very nice to have you on the stream.
Thank you.
Cool. Do you want to maybe tell kind of to the community a bit of what you do, like for the project?
Yeah, so I'm a graphics programmer, so anything that's related to our rendering engine, things like that.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think Agathe is the pure definition of first time, long time, right? You've been on the team for how long now?
So I've been on the team since 2014.
Yeah, so 9 years.
Almost 10
right?
years.
Yeah, almost 10 years. It's crazy.
That's a long time.
Yep.
By my watch. Okay, so wow, amazing stuff. And so graphics programmer, the rendering, all that stuff. So the reason why the game looks incredible is because of you. It's okay if you want to take credit for that.
Exactly.
There it is. She took credit for it.
There you go.
It's
Because
done.
of me. So no, just thank you, Nolan. And as you just said, we're always trying to improve Foreigner's visual quality.
That's right.
That's why I'm very happy today to talk about a new graphic feature, new graphic option that's called local tone mapping.
Nice.
So what is local tone mapping?
I was going to ask because, it's one of those buzzwords, and I don't know if it's a buzzword per se, but, you hear it around, and you just try to pretend like you know what they're talking about. But, I'll be honest with you, I don't. So could you explain a bit about it?
I'm here for that. So
Thank you.
tone mapping without the local, just the tone mapping. Tone mapping is the name of the transform we apply to the frame to send it to your monitor or TV.
Okay.
So we render the frame, then we do tone mapping for it to go on your TV. And that transform, we offset it using the average exposure of the frame so that it's different if the frame is very dark or very bright. But as you can imagine, it does not work very well in the case of frames that have like a lot of contrast. For example, if you're in a dark room and then you see the sky through a big window and you take the average of that, well, what happens is that you lose a lot of details in the very dark and in the very bright parts of the frame.
Okay.
That's why we did local tone mapping. So the idea of local tone mapping is that instead of using one average value, we are now using multiple exposures, meaning the dark parts of the frame are not going to be exposed the same way that the bright parts of the frame. So we get back those details without losing the overall quality of the look of the game.
And we can kind of see
You can see on the video,
Right, so basically, like from what I understand, because also a bit of a neophyte on this thing, because I'm not a graphics programmer clearly, but it's kind of like the brightness, right? So you kind of adjust the brightness depending, because normally you apply it to everything, and it kind of if there's like light and dark, it kind of all gets down to the middle. Whereas this, it makes the bright areas brighter, and the dark areas like a little bit darker, I guess. So you see a lot more of the detail. Like I think this is one of my favorite ones because you look at it and the detail and the texture right above the archway at the bottom, like you see it so much more. You see the texture really, really well. It's super cool.
Yeah, you can see all the barrels and weapons and details around in the dark areas, but the sky looks exactly the same. It's not like blown out.
Wow.
Super cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, you can really, really see the difference here, and it looks incredible. Really good stuff.
So how do we turn this on?
So local tone mapping is a graphic option in our quality mode on current gen, so PS5 and Xbox One X, and on PC, of
Xbox
course.
Series X.
Xbox Series X,
Yeah.
sorry.
I get confused with a lot of
Yeah, it's very, and on PC, and so it's disabled by default. So I really encourage you to go and try it, and I hope you'll like it.
Nice.
On PC, go turn it on like right now.
Yeah.
And if you
maybe next
Well,
week.
yeah, next week. Yeah, of course, next week. And then if you put on quality mode, for sure. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's really awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that and kind of explaining. I feel like I know a bit more about it now, and I appreciate that. And again, I will say this once, I'll say it 1,000 times. I'm always impressed by the fact that we just have people on our team like yourself who just continue to push improvements and continue to just like push on the quality and the features of the game like this. After 7 years live, like it's amazing that we are able to still continue to do new things like this, to deliver new content like this. So that's really cool. So thank you very much for sharing.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Cool. Moving on from that too, we have some patch notes, some balance stuff to talk about.
Okay.
So,
All right.
JC, do you want to walk us through it?
Yes, so let's go. So patch notes for Year 7, Season 4. So first up, we have something with the Dodge Bash changes, right? So if you've been playing, if you were there last year, we pushed changes to everybody that had a front dodge bash that was 500 ms, right? We made them faster. We put them in 433. But then what ended up happening was that we had a bit of an unexpected thing that happened, which is it widened a gap in which your opponents could dodge your front dodge bash at a much wider window without being able to be punished whatsoever. That was not our intent. And so we were doing a couple of things to make sure that this situation doesn't happen again. Just to be clear, on live before, when they were 500, there was 2 one-frame windows where if your opponent dodged in any of those windows, they were 100% safe. Clearly, it's a one-frame thing. It was super hard to time. Yeah. In this case, the window was a bit larger. So what we ended up doing is that we adjusted the time, the tracking of all of these front dodge bashes so that you have to dodge them 100 ms later to properly, for the tracking to kind of really break and to make sure you're going to dodge them. So it means that early dodges will be beaten by delayed bashes. Late dodges are beaten by either early bashes or like front dodge into guard break. So we've adjusted that like really hardcore to make sure that there is no more of any of those windows whatsoever, so that we really go towards the intention that we had, which was making those attacks really good openers and ways to open up your opponents and not have moments where, well, I don't care, I'm just going to dodge at this timing and I avoid everything, and then it kind of defeats the purpose, right? So it took us like a bit of time to figure that one out, but now it's going to be live next week, so that's great.
Nice.
On top of this, to make sure that the front dodge into guard break worked, we also did a pass on Conqueror, Yorm, and Zanhu specifically because these 3 heroes had a longer front dodge recovery. And because of that, the front dodge into empty guard break would not catch those super late dodges.
Gotcha.
So because of this, we've lowered that by 100 ms. They're all now, I think they're at 900 now for all of them. We have they've been lowered by 100, but I think they're all at 9. So because of this, it only applies to those heroes. But because of this, you should be able to reliably really catch all those super late dodge attempts.
Nice.
If you need to, but if you've buffered your bash, then those late dodge attempts are going to get beaten anyway. So that kind of works. On top of this, we've also applied changes to Medjai and to Tiandi. So for Medjai, we had a little experiment going where we did the front dodge bash at 100 ms in their front dodge instead of at 3, because axe mode was really, really underperforming. But that was a mistake, right? Like it happened.
Whoops.
We're all human, and it's okay. But that was a mistake. The biggest issue it caused, outside of being very, very, very strong from neutral, is that there's, in some cases, if you hit Medjai with a light and then you did a heavy that was slow enough, Medjai could recover fast enough, buffer into a front dodge bash, and then beat the following heavy, which was really, really something we did not want to happen. So we re-standardized for Medjai. It's okay. It still works really well at 300. We're going to be good, so that's good. And also for Tiandi. So Tiandi had another issue where before these changes on live, if you had Tiandi and you did palm into light finisher and you canceled the recovery of your light finisher with another palm, like front dodge palm, you could get interrupted by the opponent. Those changes created a situation where this could not happen anymore. And so you could say, yeah, it's the same on like Orochi, for example. The difference is Tiandi's front dodge light is undodgeable. So with Orochi, if you're facing an Orochi, if you see that this is happening, you can buffer a dodge and you're going to beat the palm and the front dodge light. Whereas with Tiandi, you could not. So the only option that you had was I have to make a super difficult read against the bash or the light that's undodgeable. Yeah. And so for this, to fix this, we basically just delayed the entry into palm strike at 366 in the front dodge, right? So it was at 300. Now it's 366. Palm is still 433. So when you add these all together, it kind of comes to the exact same timing as we had before. This is very specific to Tiandi because this was going to be really frustrating. Now, if you mash light in this situation, you're going to trade. And since you're trading against a bash, well, you win because Tiandi's not going to get any damage. That kind of works out there. Works super well. And that really helps resolve those really frustrating situations that we've been seeing a lot of with Tiandi.
It's always amazing to me, like what just like a couple frames will
it's crazy. Like sometimes we do something with one frame and then it breaks everything. Sometimes like 1 or 2 frames it changes everything, but it also like those single frames sometimes mean the difference between something is reactable and something isn't.
Right.
And as we've talked about before, at 433 it's unreactable for everyone. And so this is great because with these fixes as well, let's say you get matched up with players that are like super strong, right? That are reaction monsters. They still can't reliably dodge these bashes and have the good thing. They can react to their front dodge, but they still have to make a read as to what you're going to be doing, or you're going to buffer it, delay it, whatever.
Yeah.
So because of this, it really equalizes the playing field and it makes it a lot more viable with absolutely everyone. So that's amazing.
Nice.
And then next up, we have some changes to Hitokiri, which I find it interesting because I've been looking a lot at the minion team compositions, and there's a nice, cute little pairing with the Hito and Pirate these days that are like, this kind of cool. But yeah, so for Hitokiri, we've done a couple of changes here. Nothing overly major, but still enough to give the hero like really nice quality of life changes, right? So first of all, Endless Myriad, which is the Infinite Chain Heavies. They now gain uninterruptible stance at 100 MS. It used to be at 300. Now at 100, we really, really want players to be able to use this hero, use the heavies, target swap them, do all sorts of crazy things. And having that armor kick in a little bit earlier means you're less vulnerable to peeling. You can trade. This was the original intention of Hitokiri as well, to be like a big trading hero. We had the heavy on red meme that when the hero launched, which
I remember those
strong,
days.
right? And it's okay, like again, but with this at least like it's in chain, so it's a lot, it's less problematic, but it still works really quite well. So that's amazing. And to go with this, we've also adjusted the weapon trajectories for all of her heavy attacks on the sides to have better range. So they go a little bit above, like they go a little bit further than the weapon. They're a bit flatter. Again, this is to really give the hero really good team fight ability, be able to trade, use those attacks, defend yourself while attacking, something that we really like to have on certain heroes. Hitokiri is one of those heroes, so that's great. But to also compensate for these buffs as well, we also removed the uninterruptible stance on Meikai Rift, which is her light finisher. Before you would use it to like maybe like use that as a trading tool, right? But the damage on it is lower. It's slow, so the armor doesn't last as long. So there's all those little issues here that are not as good. So we decided like let's remove it from there. It's not really as necessary anyway because the armor is better on the heavies. Right. And we've also increased the chain link timing to Ray Kick from light attacks to be 133 MS later. So this might be like, what does this mean? But basically it means that if I'm in neutral, I hit you with a light, and then I go into kick, you can interrupt me with a light on your own, right? So we really want to, again, promote the usage of her heavy attacks, her charged heavies. Make sure you confuse your opponents, like partial charge, no charge, full charge, whatever you want to do. But the idea is like we really want to encourage the use of her heavy attacks as much as possible. It works in this way as well. After a heavy, you don't have those issues, so you're a lot safer. And so again, it's really push forward for those heavies as much as possible. I'm super excited to see where that's going to go, especially as I said, which is interesting, right? We've never really seen Hitokiri be meta outside of when she launched, and now it seems she's usable like in Dominion with like some pairings. It's super interesting. They're able to do like super interesting ganks. So I can't wait to see if this ends up also affecting her viability in 4v4 game modes, which is super cool, right? It's one of those heroes that's been underperforming a little bit, so we're trying to adjust top forward a little bit to make sure that we kind of make smaller adjustments to the meta to really equalize things even more. We're in a much better state than we've ever been, right? I look at tier lists from players and they're super compressed, and even like they're not only are they super compressed, but also like the difference between the tiers is not as huge as it used to be, right? We used to be like difference with like A tier and C tier is completely unplayable, and A tier is like you have to play these. And I was like, well, see, they're good. They're playable still. They're not the best picks, but they're still playable, so it's super cool. So we're really happy. The entire people on the fight team, and pretty much everybody on the team, is really happy about the fact that all of these changes we've been doing are great. We've been doing a lot of reworks. It might look like it's slowing down a little bit because we're doing these changes. We're doing a lot of stuff. But at the same time, we try to be a bit more focused on specific changes to specific heroes to bring them up to adjust for the meta and not make super huge wide sweeping changes to heroes, because then it kind of leads to like way bigger shakeups in the meta, and then it can be too much. It's daunting. Players come in, there's like 8 million changes to every character. Like, what am I doing? What's happening? So we're kind of trying to like still do changes. We still want to do balancing. We still need to do these things, but we're trying to be a bit more reactive and a bit more focused on what we do than trying to do like big major wide sweeping changes.
Yeah. Well, and again, big system changes like those too, just like with the dodge bash. You know,
right. So that was pretty big, but yeah, we're trying to push towards making sure that like every hero is viable, right? Just having these changes makes Conk, but Centurion, for example, way better, because if all of a sudden his Legion kick is fully unreactable, you actually have a really good opener with Centurion, which lets you go way better into like what your other options are. So a lot of that kind of plays into this as well, where we're trying to make the game like a little bit more accessible. We're trying to make sure the skill gap is still there, but that the ways that you initiate with opponents are less about, am I able to react to the attack itself, but what am I able to react to that's surrounding it, right? So it makes for a much more dynamic gameplay in that aspect. So it's really, really cool for us.
Nice. Well, very cool. Well, thank you for sharing those updates there. So that's awesome. And one other like quick note then, just what we wanted to share, just kind of following this, is about like feedback too. A lot of this feedback that we get, especially when we release something like the Dodge Bash changes, and we see a lot of your feedback. But for those of you who maybe don't know, we actually have a dedicated like feedback tool for reporting like bugs or other issues, and it's called the For Honor Bug Reporter. This is honestly, it's an amazing tool for us to interact with the community, really see the issues that you're flagging and that you're pointing out to us. So we just kind of want to just do a general reminder at this point too that it's here, you can use it, and when you do use it, like as much information you can provide, or videos or screenshots, you just please make sure to add as much as possible. We do look at these things for sure. We have teams that are in charge of that. So
I get people that are looking at these things, like poking me almost every day, going, so what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And we really take that into consideration quite a bit to see if something, because sometimes it's just feedback, and it's great to just see that feedback, right? Yeah. Because a lot of people just put feedback on there, and it's great to even just have that. Sometimes it's genuine bugs that we hadn't seen before. That makes you go, okay, there's a little problem here, so we're looking to like fixing them and try to address that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a great tool, and again, we love your feedback. So please continue to send it our way. What you like, what you don't like, it's okay. Just send us your feedback. We really like to be involved in that. Yeah. So. Very cool. All right. So that about wraps it up for this segment, though. But don't go anywhere, because coming up next, we're going to talk some testing grounds as well. That's coming up, so JC will be here. But again, just want to say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. And thanks for local tone mapping, because it looks so cool.
We're very happy to be here.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
All right. So next week, you look out for that in the performance setting. So, so stick around. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you.
And we're back once again with Mr. JC.
Yes, hello.
Yes, the savior of balance.
I am.
Yes.
I also I want to say I didn't know Nolan before. I still don't know who you are.
Oh, I'm Brian.
You're Brian. Okay, well,
Yeah,
nice to meet
I
you,
do
Brian.
stuff. Hey, what's up?
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a Tested Grounds coming December 14th through December 21st. Quick note. Later in the show, you're going to see an asset that says the 24th. That's wrong. It's the 21st. It's the 21st. We donked, but, it's okay. It's just
That's a week still.
Yeah. So it's the 14th through the 21st. But yeah, let's just dive right into it. And JC,
yes,
what can we expect in this TG? Because I know, but they don't, and I'm pumped,
right.
and we need to get them pumped.
That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, so in this round, we're doing 3 things, right? We're doing some Peacekeeper changes.
Yes.
Doing some Magi changes.
About time.
And we're doing Highlander round 2, right? So I'll go over it as we go. We'll start with Peacekeeper, right? Because we want to see what's going on here. So Peacekeeper right now is pretty good in duels, right? Like she has
beast in duels.
Yeah, she's a beast in duels, right? Like she has like pretty good offense. But
at
she
least when I'm playing against her.
Right, yeah, of course. Okay. But the thing is, when you're playing Dominion, when you're playing like more like team fight game modes, basically, right? Anything you have like team fights going, she struggles from external quite a bit because she relies on her bleed. And so because she relies on her bleed, and the only way to effectively apply bleed is really going to be through guard break, or maybe if you're lucky, you can peel with into a deep gouge. We've done something a little bit different with Peacekeeper, right? So we've added a new move to her, which is a front dodge bash. But as you'll see, it is slower, right? So right now it's 766 MS. You can do it at 100 MS to 500 in your front dodge. It doesn't chain on miss. So if I go here and I miss, well, I didn't miss, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't chain on miss. And when it lands, it guarantees a deep gouge, which bleeds your opponent.
And this is not variable timed, right?
This is not variable time, right? So it's a straight 766 right now. We did this because we didn't want her to have a bash from neutral in 1v1 situations. Her offense still quite works, right? So this works well. All that sort of stuff kind of is good. She has good ways to defend herself and to apply bleed. But like I said before, when you're outnumbered, when you're external from an opponent, they could just block external towards your way, and then Peacekeeper was like, well, I can't do anything.
Yeah,
I can't apply bleed, right? So by having a slower bash, you can still use it. You can rely on your teammates to let you guarantee it. You can rely on a bunch of different things to make sure that it lands. We've seen it land a ton. Like if you look at Magi, for example, the front dodge bash when you're in staff mode is super slow, slower than this, lands very reliably. We want this to be the same here. There's a lot of ways to make it guaranteed, and this really opens up Peacekeeper because when you do land it, you get your deep gouge, they're bleeding, and then you go to town like you usually do, right? You get your unblockable heavy finishers, you get all that good stuff. So that's super, super cool. Lets her open up opponents way better.
Without making it like too useful.
Exactly, right? Because also the thing is, like Peacekeeper has been like she's not really necessarily a really bash character, so we wanted to make sure that she doesn't rely on bashes in 1v1 specifically. So that's kind of like the thing. We wanted to keep the flavor of the hero quite a bit with those tabs on that sort of stuff, so that kind of works.
But put a tool in the kit there for when she's
exactly right. It's a very, very, very targeted tool for very specific situations. The other thing to note is that this animation right now is placeholder. It is not the final animation. The animation team is super hard at work into making it look even better. So we can get feedback on this if you want, but it'll change.
I think a few people in chat have mentioned it already.
Yeah,
so
probably.
Don't worry.
Yeah, so let me do it again here. So yeah, get this.
It'll be different.
It'll be different. Don't worry about it, right? So a couple of other changes to Peacekeeper as well. So it's going to be a bit hard here to show it, but we've also adjusted the trajectories. They detect the weapon trajectories of her side heavies. So because of this now, like these attacks hit further out, a little bit flatter. So she's going to be able to defend herself better when she's outnumbered. Again, same thing as we had with Hitokiri, like when we talked about just earlier, where having those slightly larger trajectories really helps in keeping opponents off of you.
And it makes sense. She's got an arming sword.
Yeah, exactly, right? So that kind of makes sense there.
Yeah.
So that's great. Another thing that we've done, I don't know if you remember, way back when, we did a change.
The time before time.
The time before time, right?
Yeah.
Where we changed the input on her deflect attack, right?
Right.
It used to be on light, and we put it on heavy. And the reasoning was, well, you kind of had the option select, like do like light heavy whenever you did a dodge to make sure it would land, you would go into it. And it felt kind of like a bit odd. But then looking back at it, like we've been looking back at it, we've been wanting to do this for a while, because it's an attack that bleeds, all of her attacks that bleed come from her dagger. Her dagger is always on the light attack button. So we've actually reverted this, and now it's back onto the light button input. I know a certain Frozen person that's probably in chat right now that is ecstatic about this change.
Everybody's favorite Bond villain's jumping up and down right now.
So that's great. So we did that change. It's going to be awesome. It really it feels better with the character as well. It makes it's a lot more in line with what she does. So that's pretty.
That makes sense. Why? Raul.
Yeah.
It's one of a list of reasons why I'm trash with PK. Because I could
Exactly.
never get the deflect thing.
Next up, we have zone attack. So zone attack, we've lowered the cost of the initial hit. It used to cost 40, then 10. Now it costs 20 plus 10. So again, stamina economy. You
Love
can
to
use zone
see.
attack. Yeah, it's always good.
Stamina in this economy?
Yeah, right. How does that work? Okay, so that's there. Again, you'll be able to use your zone attack a lot more often. Really good part of her mix-up as well. The second hit is unblockable when you're bleeding. So again, adds a lot of pressure. Super cool. And then finally, with Peacekeeper, the last thing we've done is we've removed the strict input requirements on her stabs when she guard breaks and on deep gouge. So for example here, right? I'm not that good at the time these or whatever. Now I can just go mash.
Nice.
And it works, no problem. Same for deep gouge, right? I can mash it and it's going to come out. Before, if you mashed it, it really didn't come out. It's good because it's a lot easier to input. But at the same time, if you still want to do, stab into a throw, for example, right? You can do throwing.
Nice.
If you mash it, your third stab is going to come out. So you still have to have a bit more of the input, the clean of I'm going to do tap and doing it.
Gotcha.
But at least it makes it a lot more accessible to just mash it.
You don't have to have the timing specific, but it's not going to let you throw in 8 inputs to light and then still follow up with your kick.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So that's the important.
So you still have to get the number right.
Yeah.
You just don't have to also 50-pound brain it.
Yeah. But it's the same we did with Shinobi, right? Shinobi has the same type of thing when you do sickle rain, where we remove the input, the strict input requirements for doing those stabs. But at the same time, if you want to do stab into backflip because you get better frame advantage, for example, you still have to do it consciously and not just mash and then try to do something, right? It happens to me all the time. So I'm well aware of how bad I am at this. That's kind of good there.
I still won't be able to do it.
Right.
Something fell.
Something fell, doesn't matter. So that's it for Peacekeeper. So now let's go look at Medjay.
Yeah.
Right? So Medjay is a super cool hero. A lot of people love him.
Yeah.
There's been
Wide boy.
Yeah, right, the white boy. There's something that I think
Very
a lot of people have been requesting for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you remember when we launched even people were I wish I could switch modes constantly in the middle of a fight because I don't like having to do back and guard break to switch and I'm kind of stuck and I can't do anything.
Yeah, huge point of feedback. I want to be able to just
Exactly, right?
between
guess
modes.
what? We did it. So now Medjay has a new move that is accessible from either staff mode or axe mode, which is performed with zone attack. So after any attack that Medjay does, if you do zone attack, you switch modes and you go into this, right?
Nice.
It counts as a heavy. So if I go into a heavy afterwards, if I go into back into staff mode, I go heavy, zone into a heavy, I go into my heavy finisher. If I go into light, I go into my chain lights, right? So it really counts as a heavy. So your next heavy that you perform, if you do another heavy right after that zone attack, is going to be the one with the special properties.
Okay.
So in staff, it's going to be with the uninterval stance. If you're in axe, it's going to be the unblockable one. That's kind of the idea here. We really wanted to make sure that you had that flow. And also what's kind of cool is you can go and zone into zone, constantly switch as much as you want.
Rafflecopter goes
right?
whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
You can go kind of nuts, but that's kind of interesting, right? So you can it really adds a lot to this flow and really you can go ham in what you want to do, but it's also super cool, right? You're able to
Nice. Medjay Main's eaten today.
On top of this, we've also removed the armor, the uninterval stance on staff mode, chain lights and chain light finishers. mostly because we want to make sure that Medjay has, when you're in staff mode, like it's super strong, right? You have like those big trajectories, and you had that uninterval stance constantly. And so it made the hero super difficult to peel when like, and Medjay didn't really have to think. You just did like light, heavy, light, heavy, light, heavy. You didn't really care. But now, because of this, you need to be smarter into how you play and be more aware of what's going on around you, because you will be peeled if you use your light attacks. Like most players are going to be able to be good enough to hit you right in those in between those little timings, so that you have to be a lot more conscious as to what you're going to be doing. So it's a bit of a nerf here, but it's I think a well-deserved nerf.
Yeah.
Like staff mode has been like overperforming for a while, so that was kind of necessary. And last but not least, the light finisher in axe mode is now undodgeable, right? So you can see the little blue spark here. So the idea here is that when you do a bash into a light, right? So that's cool. That kind of works as usual.
Yeah.
But then you had a situation where your opponent could just mash dodge, get out of your light and your heavy, right? You chain heavy or your light finisher.
Yeah.
And so we had
really annoying. For
right.
a
It's
lot of
super
people.
annoying, right?
Yeah.
Because then the offense that the hero has was not as strong as it should have been. And so we had to choose between putting undodgeable on the light finisher or on the chain heavy. And we decided to put it on the light finisher because we really wanted to keep that identity of the hero of when you're in axe mode, when you do heavies, the only property you really get is unblockable at the end. And it became like super rainbow, like, you know, like Christmas tree-ish, even though it's kind of the season. But like you would get blue into orange and getting all those kind of crazy things. So instead we put it on light finishers. It also emphasizes the fact that as a Medjay, if you do this, right, again, light, we're back to neutral. I'm frame disadvantage. I still have to reopen up my opponents. I still have to get into it. But I did get damage. I did beat their bash. I did their dodge. I did beat their dodge with a very, very good option as well.
Yeah.
It's hard to, like, it's not super easy for everybody to react to, even though they're 500 MS lights. You still have to kind of know what you're doing. The heavies still work. Heavy feint to guard break, heavy feint to parry still works. All that sort of stuff works. But I really want to make sure that you had that option now. So you have more guaranteed damage. You're scared. Your opponent's going to be scared of dodging. And if they're scared of dodging, it means your heavies are probably going to land more if they're blocked. Then if they're blocked, you get access to your finisher. All those kind of things that kind of like fall into place a lot better for the hero. So that's the idea here for Medjay.
Kind of the TLDR should feel a lot better to play,
Yeah.
a lot more fluid, but a little easier to crack.
Exactly,
And,
right.
and
And like
solve some of those like pain points of
Yeah.
like, fighting against Medjay.
exactly, right. So that's the big thing here. And I love that like now you can go this, that into an unblockable and get like that super cool flow. It's amazing. So can't wait for players to try that out. It's gonna be really cool. All right, so that's it for Medjay, and then let's go to Highlander. So we've done Highlander testing grounds in the past, and it was received, right? We talked about it before. There's a lot of good stuff, and there's some things that we've received a lot of feedback about that players weren't super happy about, which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
So what we've done with Highlander is we decided to do a second pass, address the more problematic parts of what we had in the first testing grounds, but at the same time, keep a lot, because everything that kind of worked, we kept, because it still made sense, right? So what we're going to be talking about right now, what I'm going to be like explaining, is if I don't talk about it, is the same as it was in the first testing ground.
So if we
that's
don't
what's
mention
the
it today, it means we didn't touch it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So first off, we have offensive form. So when you're in offensive form, we had side dodge keyboard toss, right? That we were like, yeah, it's kind of cool, you know, it kind of feels good. But at the same time, it was kind of problematic because it unbalances, because it it had too many issues, right? You would unbalance somebody, so you got your guaranteed heavy afterwards, which is, you know, what kind of Highlander was kind of about on live right now. But at the same time, because it unbalances people, you had allies that can go and just go, somebody's on the ground, let's, you know, hit them for all we've got constantly. If you had a Yorm or Centurion nearby, it's like, well, guess what? You're dead.
Yeah, you're gonna get jumped
off of a defensive maneuver, which is not something that we really wanted to have. So instead, what we've done is we've added a new side dodge attack, which is on heavy. So if you side dodge and you release heavy, you go into a dodge attack. Right now, we put animation of the defensive form side dodge attack. This is also placeholder.
Yep.
It's getting reworked. It's similar-ish because we still want to have like trajectories and stuff, and we're still able to hit people externally. But at the same time, like it's a lot safer. It lets us balance the damage of it as well quite well. because it's on a heavy, it can execute, so that's kind of good. But it doesn't need to deal like upwards, like close to 30 damage, just because you managed to do a side dodge and got into something. So that's like one of the big changes we've done here.
And for the animation hawks in chat, just to make sure everyone heard it, placeholder animation.
Yeah, placeholder, right? This is the exact same animation as we have on defensive form, rather. Sorry. But it is getting changed. So that's that's good. I saw like a prototype of it this morning.
Yeah, nice.
It also kind of fast folds back into offensive stance as much as you want. You can go into like, if you don't do anything, you go into defensive. So it's all the usual stuff that we have, but really to have that aspect of a side dodge attack here, as iframes, all the good stuff, so you're able to like defend yourself properly.
Nice.
With this, we still kept caber toss on front dodge, right? But we have removed the change we had done. We reverted it.
We got a lot of feedback.
Yeah, we got a lot of feedback on this where like we sped it up, right? We had sped it up because it was landing much more often. And so getting stuck in that animation constantly didn't feel super good. So we've reverted it. So now it's back to the timing we had before, right? So you grab him, Highlander lovingly looks into your eyes before he chucks him down. So, but that's one of the feedback we've got. Like I remember seeing that feedback a ton from people.
Yeah, we saw feedback on both sides. Both like it doesn't feel good to be in this all the time, and also from Highlander mains saying, like I missed that moment of like gotcha.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You know.
So we reverted that specifically to make sure that we were good for this. Another change that we've done is the top light in offensive stance is 400 ms. It used to be 5, so now it's 4. So you have that 400 ms into every single stance now. That's great. It's very, very good unreactable offense. It's enhanced, right? So you're like, well,
I love the pommel bonk every time. It
Super
doesn't
cool,
matter.
right?
Any hero, any game. The thunk.
Yeah. That's great. Next up, we have zone attack. So it's kind of hard to show right now, but we've adjusted the weapon trajectories on his zone attack as well, so that you were able to hit minions and opponents more reliably externally. There was some issues with it that we actually managed to resolve, so it should be a lot more reliable at hitting people outside. I know I had a lot of players send me videos of I'm doing zone attacks and then the sword
and it's just
spaced
swooshing through
like minions and stuff, so that should be all fixed right now. And then the last change that we've done might be a little bit hard to show, but basically we want Highlander to be able to enter offensive form a little bit easier, right? And have less risk to do it. So we still have the I throw a heavy, I feint into offensive stance. That's great. But then from neutral, if you hold heavy, you go into it, but it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And so at higher levels, at most levels actually, if you see a Highlander doing this, you could just light them out of it every single time. You see him enter, you light it, right? That's why those backstep lights were necessary, because you had to backstep into offensive stance, so you would be safer.
Otherwise, every Nobu on the planet's going to poop.
Exactly. So what we've done is something a little bit tricky, where you can now cancel the entry of offensive form from neutral 266 ms earlier. You can do it into a dodge. So normally if you look at the time it takes for me to like go heavy and then before I'm in, or I can do whole and then dodge a little bit earlier. And so from our testing internally, from what we've been looking at, it means that your opponents can no longer just randomly throw a light when they see you enter it, because you can go dodge into, it's like a dodge into a side dodge attack, for example, and you're going to beat their light, their recovery, everything there. So it should make entering offensive form from neutral also safer here, right? It's still a read. If you don't want to dodge, then your opponents have to do something else, but they can still guard break you. But if they try to guard break you, you can just go into this and they're kind of screwed. So you still have options in these situations, but it lets you go into it a little bit safer even when you're closer, so your opponents can't just light you out of it constantly.
Well, it still maintains that like highly technical.
Yeah, of course, right?
Highlander.
Yeah, because if I want to go into like this, right, I have to go dodge, do it. So it's tricky, like the holding, not holding, mashing, dodge, getting into it. So we still want to have that feeling of the inputs are tricky on Highlander. You have to use like your giant brain to be able to like and there's a lot of muscle memory involved in it, right? So that you go, I have to hold, not hold, and like get into those moments. But it again, it's one of those things that we're comfortable giving Highlander slightly more complicated inputs, because you have those higher reward situations, and we really want to make sure that Highlander had those options to get into offensive form and really be able to go from defensive to offensive to defensive to offensive. Kind of like what we have with Medjay, right? Where you have those two modes, except going into them with Highlander is a lot more complex, because you have to hold, you have to do all these crazy things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like Highlander mains are kind of like a unique breed because they're like, we want some love for our hero, but don't you dare dumb it down.
Yeah, right.
And so they love the pain.
Yeah, they love.
They're like, no, I want to have to
Yeah.
like, get it all in there. And so this should
Yeah.
satisfy that.
Definitely. So that's what we have for Highlander. Again, as usual, like I'm gonna be scouring, the usual places when the reworks go live.
Be there with you.
We'll have a lot of people to talk to. It's gonna be super interesting, and we'll figure out where we go from there. But hopefully, this will help fix the major issues a lot of players have with Highlander. Get into it a little bit better, and again, so we can roll to release this rework to the general. Have a lot of super good fun. So again, leave feedback.
Yes,
If you love
please,
it,
wherever.
leave it. If you don't like it, tell me.
Because we read
Okay.
all the things.
Yeah, we
If
do, we do.
I'm gonna jump on a soapbox real quick. But yeah, we see a lot of times like, oh, you guys only listen to Reddit. It's literally not true. I read every comment on every social media, everywhere, all the time.
Yeah.
From YouTube comments to Instagram to Twitter to TikTok to Reddit. Like, we're really looking at everywhere you guys are talking at us.
And it's not like you said. I like that you mentioned it, but it's not just Reddit, right? Like,
Yeah.
we look at everything, and it's more your job, but I love doing it too because I get that direct connection with the players, and sometimes it gets personal, but it's also interesting. But we look at everything. I don't want people to just think, oh, we just look at Reddit, right? It's just like you said, we look at Reddit, we look at like YouTube comments, stuff on Instagram, stuff on like the official forums, like absolutely everything everywhere. We talk to pros also. Like we have some, we can talk to them a little bit. We can ask them questions. We can get stuff. So it's not just we're looking at Reddit and we're looking at people on Reddit on the main subreddit, right?
Yeah.
We look at the main one. We look at the competitive one. We look at everything,
I even read For Honor rants,
right? So
which
that-
is
I commend you for this.
Yeah,
'cause that I
no,
have- that I have a heart to do.
it gives me and my therapist something to talk about.
Right, that's the thing. But yeah, but we do look at all the feedback constantly.
Yeah.
We get reports from you guys as well. So it's super important that we always have a survey as well that we look at. So there's a lot of sources of feedback. Give us your feedback.
Yeah.
This is how we kind of get to be able to gauge where we're at. And sometimes actually a lot of the time we look at it and go, this worked, this didn't work. And like I said, we're human, right? Sometimes I go, this is going to be super cool. And then
And it just doesn't
side
work
dodge
out.
came
Yeah.
across. Like I'm telling you, we were looking at it, like this is actually pretty cool. It kind of fits with what we had before, which was you had a side dodge into kick, you had a guaranteed heavy. We wanted to keep that kind of feeling going, and we're like, yeah, okay, it's kind of cool. And then it goes out to a lot of players, and it's like, well, actually, it's cool, but it's a bit too
Look,
strong.
if I had a nickel for every time in my life, I was like, no, I'm dead sure this is exactly how this is going to go down, and then it didn't work out, I'd have a shitload of nickels.
Exactly, right? You'd be super rich.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even be able to walk
Yeah,
anymore.
I could afford
Full of
like
nickels.
a sandwich.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, no, it's we read your feedback wherever you put it, so it's always fun and a little ironic when I'm
Yeah.
like reading Instagram comments and they're like, they only read Reddit, and I'm like, then how did I read this?
How did I read this? Yeah.
Like, anyway, so yeah, please leave us your feedback wherever. Obviously, we're gonna have a TG mega thread that will start up on the 14th. So you can leave your comments there. But if you come across like a little video segment on the TG on Instagram, give your feedback.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna give it to the man. So
Exactly.
anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
All good. Just to end this on my side, right? I want to give big props to Noel, one of the designers on our team who worked super hard on all of this. We all work together on this, right? We're always giving feedback. It's as a team, but generally we have like one designer that kind of works harder at integrating the changes.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time it was Noel, did an amazing job. So thank you very much. And thanks to the whole team. But Noel did amazing on this. So awesome.
All right. Well, just to remind you guys again, TG will be live December 14th through December 21st.
21st.
Yes. Those are the correct
Those
dates.
are the dates.
Somewhere in here, I think it's in the roadmap.
Yeah, it's in the roadmap. I
24th,
saw, yeah.
And it's wrong. So 21st, 14th, 21st. It's okay. It happens. Typos. It's 10 keys are hard sometimes. Not really. But no, thank you so much, JC, for joining me on this segment.
Right.
Thank you for all of you at home for sticking with us through it. But don't go anywhere because we're going to be right back. We got some tournament stuff to talk about. And then we got more stuff after that. So don't go anywhere. Stick around. See you soon. Mwah. we got some tournament stuff to talk about. So let's just jump right into it. Nolan, why don't you fill everybody in on what's been happening?
Yes, so thank you, Brian. So tournaments, always a fun time. We actually just wrapped up Into the Fray back in October, and big surprise to probably nobody, but Nemesis won first place, going
Never.
undefeated. They've just been absolutely dominant.
Never won anything.
I mean, so maybe they're just really good. I think they're pretty good.
We should sow some drama, split them up, and just like to shake it up, right?
Oh, yeah, that's
so
a good
like
idea.
if I were to start a rumor that Clutch said Nemesis smells like potatoes.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear that, Clutch? I don't know. Maybe you guys need to talk.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, man. I don't think you can keep the band together. Have you met this lady named Yoko?
Oh, man. Yeah, there you go. That's, you know what? It's never too late for a Yoko reference. So, but overall, though, big congrats to Nemesis out there. And honestly, the whole tournament was amazing. So big shout out to all the people working behind the scenes, everybody organizing the tournament. We had over 350 teams sign up, which is incredible. Like,
it's a lot.
Like, that's a lot. Those are like 4-man teams.
That's 350 times 4. So we're like over 1,300.
I mean, there's some math there that I can't do right now in my head because math is hard. But there's definitely a lot. You got it. That's a calculator and just
this is the calculator.
You got to go. No,
yeah,
that's fine. All
like
right.
little touch of the tism.
A little drop.
Yeah,
little drop.
Just a scotch.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, but in addition to that, we had Pro-Ams wrap up, right? So the Pro-Am tournaments went super well. We heard from our tournament organizers that it was some of the closest matches they'd ever seen in competitive For Honor, which really speaks to our methodology. Because for those of you at home that don't understand what goes into the Pro-Ams, while they are a very casual tournament, we like dig into the data. We look at the stats, you know, and we crunch that down so that we create using like the matchmaking data. So that we look at everybody's personal skill rating and then create very balanced teams. So we have like an ideal number that we try and get every team around, so that combination of like more pro players and more amateur players kind of gets leveled out so that every team adds up to a certain skill rating. And it seems to work out really well for us because we get really close matches all throughout the brackets. And so it works really well. We're going to have another one coming up soon at the beginning of the new year. So definitely sign up for it because it's a really great way, regardless of your skill level, to experience like really nail biter matches. Right. And that's like what we wanted with the Pro-Ams. Yeah. So I do want to recap the winners for this time. So for EU, we had Red Moon, who came in first, and then runners-up were Pasta Vodka, and this one hurts. Gibt kein Name. I just went.
I'm sure that's exactly what they meant. So that's good.
And then for North America, we had the Pro-Am team Smiley Face. Definitely a very choice team name. Didn't cause any confusion at all.
There's definitely not.
And then runners-up were Team Shaft. And I Have Memes is bad. And then for our grand final bragging rights match, Red Moon took that. So EU, I think, remains dominant over NA.
Congrats, Red Moon.
So, good job. If you've forgotten what the prizes for Pro-Ams are, we've got those luscious, nice 3D resin print statues. They got a big chonky base on them, and it says Pro-Am winner.
Nice.
So it's a nice conversation piece for all the members of the winning team.
Nice.
And for this Pro-Am, it's the Warmonger statue.
Ooh.
So it's my personal favorite, just like the way it looks.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little jelly. Maybe I should have played in one.
Maybe you should have played. Geez.
I can't. No, I can't. No, it would never happen.
Yeah.
And then our runners-up got some steel, like some steel, rizzle of steel. Big shout out to all of our participants. We had a pretty good turnout. Yeah. The turnout on the Twitch stream was great. It was really fun for me to be in there, interacting with everyone. And again, big shout out to our tournament organizers, Spaniard and Nutella, for all of their work. And like I said, we're going to have another one early next year, in the calendar year. And so look out for that. And if you are a person who is hosting a community-run tournament, and you're like, I would really like official support for this, like some mentions on social media, we can look at other ways that we can support you as well. Send an email to forhonortournaments@ubisoft.com. Boop. And man, I nailed that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I still can't wrap my head around
Yeah.
like inverted like video. feeds. I don't
I
even
messed
know,
it up.
but it's fine.
Anyway, with all of the details of your tournament and why you think it would be a good fit for support, and then we can take a look at it and see what we can do for it. Yeah. And so that's everything competitive. I know this update isn't always for everyone, but too bad.
But yeah,
we kept it short and sweet and to the point.
Competitive For Honor is awesome. Like I know, I love competitive.
Yeah.
For Honor. It's like it's so fun to see like the high level play, the duels, the Dominion matches. I love the Pro-Am format. I love the Conquest mode format. It's just I don't know, it's a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, and frankly, that's what the Pro-Ams are for. Is if you're like, oh, I don't really know about competitive play, it's like, well, then do the Pro-Am because it's for you.
And you know,
for everyone.
You know what's crazy is all those AMs are now pros because they were now in an official tournament.
More
now.
pro than they were.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go with that.
So congrats, you've evolved from AM to pro. In
a little bit in your soul.
In your soul.
But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, Nolan and I again, because we got some more stuff to talk about. So let's do it. Hey, that's the shortest transition in Warriors Den history.
Is that a record?
Yeah, I think because it's just us. We just had to.
That's pretty good. We didn't have to switch mics or anything. I like it.
Yeah. So welcome back, everybody. We hope you're as excited as we are for this season. This year 7, season 4. Mm-hmm. It's nuts. It's been a long road, and there's so much cool stuff coming this season. But we've got a lot to talk about. What's coming up on December 7th? Yep. So Nolan, why don't you jump into it first?
Sure thing. All right, I will
with the recap and of everything that's coming.
I'll do the recap. I'll try to remember as much as I can. Here we go. So that's right. Starting next week, December 7th, new season launches. There will be a new Battle Pass and Battle Bundle. A new Event Pass for the Frostwind Betrayal. That'll be a lot of fun. The Testing Grounds with PK, Magi, and Highlander running from December 14th through the 21st. So that's awesome. And don't forget the local tone mapping
I'm so
update.
pumped for this because I'm kind of like a graphics
You're a graphics snob a
yeah,
little bit.
a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it looks beautiful. So great job again, and everybody working on that. And of course, the Highlander hero skin, Oathbreaker Maddox, so fully armored like Viking,
Beastie
big old
boy.
Yeah, the Beastie Boy. Yeah, love the sword.
Hey,
love
I get that. That's funny.
The thing that's referenced to.
Yeah, straight out of Alkenheim.
There you go. Yes. I love it. So that's great. We also have coming up, in January. Then we have throwback events with two throwback events. Realistic Elimination on January 4th, which is a ton of fun. Again, come back, play Realistic Elimination, get those black color swatches. They're a ton of fun. And Justice of the Pharaohs also coming back on January 18th. Again, what would a Viking, season be without some Hero Fest? So Highlander Hero Fest planned for January 4th. So again, get the Oathbreaker Maddox skin, go to the Highlander Hero Fest, and go check out the cool new execution that's coming out soon. The Warlord Hero Fest after that on January 11th, and Warmonger. I promise.
Warmonger.
I've had enough coffee. I don't know what's going on. Warmonger on January 25th. So yeah, lots of stuff to look forward to. It's very cool.
Nice. And now the time has come where we surprise Nolan and all of you at home with some of our top picks from the community submitted videos and artwork from since the last den. So let's take a look at them. Let's go. All right. I'm excited for these.
Excited, yeah.
There's some good ones in here. There's
I intentionally don't watch this segment.
Yeah.
Before when we rehearse.
No, there's one that gave me a spit take. Okay. So don't interrupt the traditional pre-fight emote submitted by Lightningfoot45. Because if you do, you're going to get wrecked.
You are.
And
yes! Oh,
nice.
Man.
The flip and the dip. Then we've got this gorgeous Centurion fan art by Eric Lee Art on Twitter.
That's really cool.
This is just like embodies, I think, what every Cent main has in their head. Oh. And then Beware the Shake. It's a Highlander day today, baby.
It is. Highlander love, we're sharing it. It's good.
Concerning Situation by Boris200.
Where's the S?
Where's the S? Right behind you.
That's for you, Noel.
And then Escape of the Century submitted by Melancholic Minerva.
All right. Assuming it's going to be the Aramusha.
Bye.
No way!
He's out.
He got out on a technicality. I love it.
Nice. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed those at home. And then we've got some content of the week coming.
That's right. That's right. Actually, before next week, when the new season launches, we have some content today. If you hadn't noticed yet, boot up the game, check it out. It's the Aramusha Hero Fest. So, starting today, running through the next week, you can get a brand new unique execution for the Aramusha, the flying arm.
Shout out to all 12 bones that had to be rigged to that arm.
That's. So we'll talk to Vanessa about that one, yeah. But yeah, and don't forget to Hero Fests. The hero is free to play for the week, and you also get a discount on purchasing the hero, and you get more XP for playing the hero. So go play some Aramusha. It's awesome. It's a
I love
great character.
XP.
Yeah. Also, launching today as well, we have some retrofits that we want to release too. So the illustrious outfit, the Keen Emissary. So that's for any hero who did not have it at this point. Also, the Sunda's Gambit illustrious outfit. So this is your chance now to finally pick up the My Little Pony for the Ocelotl and everybody else who's been missing that. I'm sorry, it's a cool like.
No, I'm here for it.
Yeah, and also we have an emote, the John Used Fire, and shout out to Max for this edit because this is just like slick. So
I love Purple Fire in any game.
Yeah.
I don't care. Give me Purple Fire.
Purple Fire is great. So
yeah,
love it. Yep. So that's all available today. So go check it out.
But wait, there's more because on December 7th we've got a bunch of stuff coming. So let's just fire on through it. Starting off with the mythic outfit, Knights of Yuletide. I actually love this. I love the little goat, and yeah, it's a long time coming. We've needed a Yule log in the game. We do the Yuletide every year. And then, yeah, we've got the execution for all heroes with my bare hands.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Express your right to bear arms.
Oh, my God. It's so good.
And then, of course, the Oathbreaker Maddox hero skin looking just tasty, beasty, fresh on the Highlander. I'm super excited for this.
So much armor.
Yeah.
Such a good amount of armor on that Viking. I love it.
Yeah, and I can't wait to throw all the alt materials on it and go, ooh.
Just bright yellow, I think.
Yeah, finally I'm going to fill up all 3 of my loadouts for Highlander instead of just the one. So in addition to this, we've got a medic challenge and an arcade quest coming up. So medic challenge, if you don't know, this is how it works. Be the faction with the most allies revived. So yeah, be the guardian angel for your allies. And then we've got the arcade quest for Marching Fire owners, Favete Linguis. And so, yeah, check that out. And that's it for this Warriors Den. So don't forget to follow us on all the social media. We are at For Honor Game all over the place, unless you're on TikTok, in which case it's at Ubisoft. And so, yeah, definitely follow us on there. Give us your feedback because we read it all. We read all the things.
He reads it all, apparently.
I do. When I say we, I mean me and JC.
Y'all need to take a vacation. I'm saying the holidays are coming up.
I do take
a break.
vacation, and I read Reddit on my vacation.
That's not a vacation.
Thank you very
Brian.
much.
That's not a vacation. Okay.
That's just your opinion, man.
That's fair. Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an awesome Warriors Den. I hope all of you at home have a good frosty season. Kick some people in the ice hole, and we will see you on the battlefield. And next time. Bye.
Bye.